While passing through Baltimore, I stopped in to see one of America's oldest conservatories, the Howard Peters Rawlings Conservatory, situated in Druid Park. Erected in 1888, the charming glass and steel structure contains a palm house, orchid room, Mediterranean house, desert house, and tropical house, all of which we're about to see. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how long you've been working here at the conservatory.
Sure. So my name's Julia Kadok. I've been an assistant horticulturist here for about 6 years between the conservatory and the Arboretum, which is our sister facility. They also have the production houses there where we grow everything, like stock of everything that we have on display here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we also keep all of the orchids at the production house, and when they're in bloom, they come here into the orchid house for display.
I had no idea that you had Arboretum. I think I knew, but I did not know that you had a production house. But I guess that makes sense because you have to take care of all this.
Yeah, we also have seasonal shows for the winter and the spring. So everything that we put into the shows is also stored there.
And is this city run, this conservatory?
Yes, okay. So we're run by Baltimore City Recreation and Parks. We also have a friends group that helps us out with a lot of things and helps us get volunteers to come and work.
That's great. I would imagine like a lot of the botanic gardens that I go to always have like a big group of volunteers that they probably couldn't maintain everything without, you know?
Yes, we're a really small staff. There's only 3 horticulturists here right now, so volunteers do a big part.
Huge amount of work. I mean, this is actually one of the cutest conservatories I've ever seen, like just the way that it's structured. What year was this constructed?
So the 2 buildings that we're in now, the Orchid Room and the Palm House, were both built in 1888. They were built by the city for the people of Baltimore. And originally Baltimore had 7 conservatories built, each in the big parks. So like Patterson Park, I think Clifton Park had one.
Wow.
This is the only one that was built with a steel structure inside. Okay. The others were just wood and glass. So over time they deteriorated. They're not as popular as they were in the Victorian era.
Yeah.
So this is the only one that really got restored and kept.
Wow, crazy. So this is the orchid room now.
This is the orchid
room. A lot
room.
is in bloom.
Yeah, a lot is in bloom. This is a good time to come and see the orchids. A lot of Paphiopedilums and a lot of moth orchids on the other wall as well.
So you're in your production greenhouse, you see what's flowering, and then you transport some of that over here?
We do. There's actually an orchid curator, and that's his whole job is full-time orchids.
Okay, so there's 3 of you, and one of
plus,
them is plus an orchid curator.
Yeah, plus an orchid curator.
So this is part of the historic structure, this one right here.
This is one of the original buildings. All of the glass was replaced in 2004. We had a big renovation, and the glass they put in is, I believe it's 80% UV protectant. But it's still not enough. The orchids like a lot of indirect light.
Right, so you have the shade cloth.
We have a shade cloth as well. Yep.
And this is funny because I think I saw this guy sticking out of the top of the greenhouse.
it's a big problem because I'm sure you know that palms are related to grasses. So
Yes.
if you cut the top, they don't branch out like a tree.
Right.
The whole thing will just die to the ground. So we haven't pruned them, and we don't have the equipment to get up there and take the tree down ourselves. So we asked the Forestry Division for Baltimore City to come do it for us. But they have thousands of trees in the city to take care of right now. So we're on the list.
You're on the list, you're on the short list, but you would have to take down the whole thing then?
So we'll take down the entire tree. I
Okay.
think this one needs to come out, the foxtail palm right here. And I believe the Bismarck palm is starting to go through the roof as well.
Right.
So we'll just take them all the way to the ground and then we'll plant new ones.
Okay.
They grow pretty fast. Everything in here was put in 2004.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
so no original plantings.
What's the plan to replace those, or would you be replacing them?
We will be replacing them. A lot of the wood on this building is rotting right now, so we have a big renovation coming up in 2025. And we're actually going to take out the entire plant collection, think about what we want to show specimen-wise, and then replace it. Maybe some more variation in like palms from around the world rather than, we have a lot from Madagascar right now, but we're
Right.
thinking other continents, showcasing that.
Wow, I mean, do you have any kind of partnership with other botanic gardens where you like share stuff, or like where would you be putting things? Like, it's not like you're moving like like luggage, you know?
Right, well the big stuff is just going to get cut into pieces and
Yeah.
sent to the mill and they'll turn it into wood chips.
Yeah.
And then the palm trees, we'll just purchase them smaller, probably from Florida, somewhere
Okay.
in Florida.
Right.
And then I'm sure you're familiar with Longwood Gardens.
Of course,
Yeah,
yeah.
they've also donated things to us. Both of the Bismarck palms are from them. No, I'm sorry, just the small one.
Yeah.
The other one we purchased and it was supposed to be a dwarf variety, but then it either was labeled incorrectly or it reverted. So it went straight up through the ceiling. But the dwarf one, the true dwarf one is from Longwood. They donated that to us.
This is great, just like the little stepping stones and everything. It's a very breathable conservatory, you know what I mean? Like you could just walk through. And then does this kind of understory of the crotons and the spathiphyllum, does this kind of change up, or
We
does it
actually
stay the
just
same?
leave this as it is. Right where you're standing, a lot of people get married there.
Oh, but interesting.
Yeah, and so the camera will be over here, and then like people will get married here, and their audience will just stand around.
That's
like
great.
a quick standing wedding.
Yeah.
So we just leave this here and keep it like pruned down. We don't let it get too tall.
And this is also part of the historic structure as well.
Yes, this whole
Okay.
dome building.
Yeah.
Yep. But originally when it was built, it was just a concrete floor with pots on the ground. So everything was kept in pots. And then in 2004, they actually built the raised beds. So the soil mixture, it's 8 feet of soil, 5 feet of gravel, and then it just goes into the city park soil. There's no bottom.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is actual city soil beneath it.
It is, yeah.
And so technically one of these palms could actually be in the city soil, like planted in.
Yeah, they are. They're just growing in Druid Hill Park, basically.
Unbelievable. So you have no, like you're heating this place, but the heat can technically escape from underneath because it's not insulated, basically.
Yeah,
It's,
I guess it could. I mean, the soil is what kind of stays warm
Yeah.
throughout the year anyways. But yeah, we are heating. We have all the radiator fin tubing around, and we never let it get below 55 degrees in here.
Are these like large gingers, or what are these?
Yes, this is the torch ginger. It's really cool. I mean, they get up to 25 feet tall if they have the space. And there's one that's flowering in the tropical house we can look at.
Oh,
it's
great.
really beautiful.
And then these are clivias?
Yeah, we have a few of these. There's some more over here. None of them are blooming right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Should we go see some of the other houses as well?
Sure, let's go. So right now we actually have our spring show set up, and it's gonna run to the end of March. So all of the bulbs in here, as well as another room, have been forced by the staff and then put in a cooler so that we can time their bloom for the show.
And so these will probably bloom for about a good week or so, right?
They'll bloom for about a week, sometimes 2, and then we have more in our cooler that we'll swap
Oh,
out.
great,
Yeah.
fantastic.
So this is the start of our climate houses. We have 3 different climate houses. This is the Mediterranean. So in the summer times it gets pretty hot in here and pretty dry. And then in the winter times it's a bit more humid and cooler. It never gets below like 75 degrees in here in the winter.
Right. Is this also part of the original structure of the conservatory? Was this built on?
It was kind of built on. So originally it was here for like production at the end of the 1800s when they first built it. There was no heating in here. It was just a dirt floor. Then I think in like the 1950s, they dug it out, put a floor down, and people could walk through, like the public. And then in 2004, we actually put like tiled floors and put in the raised beds and everything.
Right, and you gave it kind of a bit more of a like Mediterranean-esque.
Yeah, just to try and reflect what you'd see. But we have several different citrus species in here, which is pretty neat. We have a few different oleanders, different palms, and
this is
geraniums.
Wonderful. What's this? Strawberry. Oh, these are the ones that get the strawberry like fruit, doesn't it? They have like a little red fruit.
I've never seen this one fruit, but it makes these little cute little bell flowers that look like little blueberry bells.
I've seen this tree. It's not. We're in zone 5-6, and I was like, oh, I wish I could actually grow this. I think it's only hardy until like a zone 7. And it does get a little strawberry-like fruit on it. And part of the reason why I really liked it, though, is the bark is incredible.
Yeah, the bark is definitely the coolest part.
Wow. It's very pretty.
Yeah. And we prune it to this mushroom shape. It's not usually like that.
Yeah, that's great. I think you could probably cut off a few more
I know.
Up there after they flowered.
I left that one to show the flower, but it's done now.
That's perfect.
It's done. Yeah. So we got some orange trees over here.
Oh, yeah. Look at some of this stuff. It has the fruit.
Yep, this is a kumquat.
Yeah.
So on that you can just eat the rind, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, do you know what kind of cultivar this one is? I can't remember. Like we have a few different cultivars.
Nagami.
Okay.
Long kumquat. It's the only one we have though.
This is great. Look at this. I mean, these flowers.
So this is the tea tree, but it's not the same tea tree you would use in like an oil.
And
but it is in the crepe myrtle family, which is kind of neat. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
Yeah, the crepe myrtle. Again, another plant that I would have loved to grow outdoors, but it's just not hardy enough for a zone.
We do them here, but I think we just got lucky with the zone 7. That is the Persian apple, which is not super edible. They have a very thick rind and not a lot of juice, but they use this for a certain Jewish holiday. Yep. So that's like the big reason for growing it.
Does it taste, have you ever tasted it, or is it?
They do not taste very good.
Okay, okay.
A lot of people will peel the rind and use it for candying or like jams.
Yeah.
But if you just eat it on its own, even like the juice itself is just bitter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
This is in full bloom. Look at this.
I know, you came on a good day. The bottle brush just started blooming.
Wow.
Which is really fun.
Is this related to the Aesculus, do you know? The Buckeye bottle brush?
I don't think it is, but we do have those growing native in Maryland.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me a little bit of that.
I don't think they're in the same family. I think it's just named for the shape of the flower.
Yeah.
It's like a common name.
Is this a ponderosa or which one
Yeah,
is
it is a ponderosa.
Wow, look at the size
Everyone always
of those.
thinks it's a grapefruit. It's it's the lemon, ponderosa lemon. And these were actually cultivated in Hagerstown, Maryland, between a citron and a Meyer lemon.
Yeah, we saw one of the larger specimens. I don't know if you're familiar with the greenhouse, Logi's greenhouse in Connecticut.
Yes, I've heard of it.
Yeah, he has like 100-year-old one, and it's pretty spectacular because he came from a long lineage of like plantsmen and women. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is this another small little kumquat, or which one is this?
This is a patio orange. They are not very delicious. Yeah, they're mostly used for like zesting over like fancy drinks and things.
Right, okay.
They're cute to look at, but they don't really taste that good.
How about this guy with this funky seed pod? Unbelievable.
The shoestring acacia, this one was planted in 2004. We have to prune it a lot, but it has like a really cool effect when you come back here.
Yeah, I mean, it's very drapey. And this almost looks like a little bracelet.
Yeah, it does. Cute. We also have the common olive tree here. For whatever reason, we have not been able to get ours to flower. And we have 2 of them. But this has been here for 20 years, and we've tried everything. Hard prunes, no pruning. It's just the conditions aren't right.
Yeah, fascinating. This is where I think it's really helpful to like have a network of botanical gardens where you share information and you're like, why is this not blooming? And they might say like, hey, it needs a little bit of a cold dip at such and such time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's probably, you're right, something like that. So if anybody sees this and they know
anybody
exactly
knows
what
on
to
the
do
channel to get this baby to bloom, let her know.
Yeah, we could use some input on that.
Well, should we go check out some of the other climate control houses? So this you said never drops to 75 in summer, usually?
No, it gets well over 75.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it gets too hot for the plants, but we don't have good cooling mechanisms in here.
Yeah.
But we never let it get below 50 in here.
Okay.
Even though they probably could take a little colder, we just leave it at 50.
Got it.
And then we'll come into the tropical house. We water every single day in here. We do like a head-to-toe syringing, covering everything with water, just simulating like a quick rainstorm in the morning.
So you don't really have a mist system here?
There is a mist system, but we don't use it. We're tied into like the city tap water, so there's minerals and our...
probably chemicals and everything else under the sun.
Yeah, and so they're constantly clogging the mist heads, and it's just not worth the maintenance. So we just water it with a hose. There is a reverse osmosis machine here, but we need to get it fixed. So right now we're on the hose gig, and it works just fine.
Yeah, got it. Look at this. Another ginger, right?
Another ginger, that's the shell ginger. I think we have 11 or 12 different ginger species here, which is cool.
Yeah, is there any genus that you really specialize in? That's quite a lot of gingers, but like, is there other species that you know, kind of specialize in here, or not so much?
Not so much. We do have a lot of gingers. We like our citrus collection a lot.
It is a very nice citrus collection. Okay, so here's a Hoya, I see.
Yeah, we do have several Hoyas.
Is this a pubicalyx? Do you know?
Oh, you'll have to ask my coworker. I'm not a Hoya person.
Yeah.
But they always start to bloom around this time, or in April. This is a clarodendron vine.
Okay.
Which is, we don't have a tag on it, but right next to it is like the clarodendron tree, the starburst flower, which has like a pink umbel right here, which is really cool, really pretty. They just finished blooming. But it's cool to see that these are the same genus.
Yeah. And then you have a lot of musas, a lot of bananas.
We do, we do. And I'm sure you know, once they fruit, the whole tree dies back.
Right.
So we're constantly cutting them down, and then new ones will grow. That's fun. People like that one.
Yeah. I think this is a pubicalyx, actually. If that is this, then I think that's what it is.
Okay, cool.
How about this guy?
This is our Queen Emma crinum. It's actually in the Amaryllis family.
Huge.
And yeah, they have maybe one's flowering. They're like fading right now. But it comes out with this like huge...
Oh, it kind of looks like how an amaryllis would be too.
Right, with the thick stem, and then it usually has like a bunch of pink flowers all together at the top.
Super prehistoric looking.
I love this one. Yeah. It's really like a big statement. What's cool on this side is the sago palm, which I'm sure people have seen before.
Yeah.
But what's nice about this one is we have one in the palm house that's a female. This one is a male, so it has the pollen cone, which apparently you don't see as often. So we're kind of proud of that.
That's great. Did you ever do any kind of cross-pollination with them?
No.
Nah,
we don't have time.
Let them be
cool.
lonely.
Yeah, yeah, you're just gonna have to. I think at one point a professor did collect some, from Towson University, did collect some pollen from the cone.
Nice.
I don't know if she had any success.
Here you have like a kind of a green wall system going here.
Yeah, this is the green wall. This was put in 2004. Everything is growing on rock wool with the metal frame to hold it in.
Fascinating. So how does this actually get watered? Do you have like an irrigation system behind it? Or
we're watering it with the hose right now.
Wow.
It was, when it was installed, it had the misters up at the top.
Right.
Actually, you know what? When it was installed, it initially had drip irrigation in it, but the pressure wasn't right. So we had really soggy areas and really dry areas. And then we switched over to just using the misters, but they were getting clogged all the time. You have to get the ladder, get up there.
Yeah.
So now we just hose it down every single day. On really hot days in the summer, we'll come and do it twice.
Interesting.
We also have a mango tree here. That's another one where we haven't been able to get it to flower or fruit. It's been here for 20 years. We've tried like giving it excessive iron in the soil. There's even tricks that they'll do, like if you use like a regular nail hammer on the trunk of the tree, but we still haven't had any luck. So that's another one. If someone's a mango expert, I could use your advice.
I've always seen them in the wild, but you never know what it is in the wild that like really makes them tick, you know?
Right.
What about this guy right here? It's like a little funky fluted.
Oh,
what that is?
I don't. I can't remember the Latin name. I think we call it like firecracker something. I have a tag on a different one.
It's pretty neat because it has like these. It's like a whorled leaf around the stem, and then it has all these like green stems coming off.
And it does the air layering thing a lot too, where like if a stem, like a branch lays on the ground,
it starts to propagate like a rubus or something, like a blackberry or raspberry.
Right, so it'll just keep jumping down.
Cool. Yeah. I love all the arbors as well. You have something that's starting to bloom up here.
Yes, this one is the purple wreath. It usually blooms around this time. We have to prune this thing a lot. All of the arches, delicate. The vines just grow like crazy. That's a really pretty one. More shell ginger there.
The Brazil red cloak, that one's a new one for me.
It's really pretty when it flowers, but I think it finished last month, so all the little deadheading has already happened. But that's a cool one. And then more crinums, of course.
They're like so prehistoric. It's amazing.
Love them, yeah. They're very cool.
What the heck is this growing right here?
It's a type of ficus. It is the creeping fig.
This is Ficus pumila, the creeping fig, or do you think it is a
well, we only planted one type.
Really?
And it was the small leaf
Oh my
one.
gosh, the small leaf.
It has been here so long.
It's so thick leaves. I've
so
never seen it this thick.
And it'll start growing like a tree if we don't keep after the pruning. Wow. Like it'll come off and just start growing like that.
I mean, I've seen this growing at Botanic Gardens in Florida, but I've never seen it this like thick-leaved.
I don't know when the change happened, like when it started to shift into the thick leaves, but it does it on the green wall too.
Huh.
But yeah, it's really thick, and it like changed into some other species, but it was planted.
Just like
it was
evolution
planted as
happened really quickly here.
Yeah.
So this is cool. So you've like crafted, not you, but like the team at one point like crafted this little koi pond essentially, and now you have some of these like semi-aquatic plants growing in them as well.
Yeah, we do. A few things are like way too happy in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pond takes a lot of maintenance because the plants grow really aggressively in here.
Right.
And then we have our koi fish, and they're so happy.
Oh man. Huge.
We have this one, and then we have a macadamia nut tree behind it, which isn't really that interesting to look at, but then it fruits and it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Pretty neat. Tiny little yellow flowers, and then you get the nut.
I think these are like 8 caliphas, but they're just kind of.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll get nicer and bigger, but this one's.
Looks like it's just maybe slightly past.
Right.
It's like peak.
It's not in that. Oh, here's one that has all the. Yeah, but they're all up top in the sunlight.
Yeah.
So it's not really a good shot.
Up there is nice.
Yeah. Right in front of us, this is our coffee tree. It has a few ripe beans on it, but I think it's kind of past its prime.
Oh yeah, look at that right here.
Yeah, and they'll fall off into the soil, and we just have so many coffee seedlings all the time.
Yeah, you could just put them in some soil and sell it.
I know, we could. We should, really.
Here's some of these torch gingers that you'd mentioned.
That one's
blooming.
Yeah, the flower's like almost totally open.
Yeah.
And then these gingers are going all the way up to the ceiling.
Unbelievable. Just goes to show you can't build a greenhouse high enough for some of these
No,
plants.
you can't.
Oh.
And people are always suggesting, they're like, oh, why don't you put a roof on that opens for the plants?
Right.
But we need to close it back up in the winter.
And you have birds, and everybody would get in here, you know.
The birds do come in.
Yeah.
A lot of critters come in. There was a raccoon nesting in one of our staghorn ferns last summer.
I would be too if I were that raccoon. What a great place to live, you know? You can't blame them.
No, it was a cozy spot.
Yeah.
people come into the desert house. A lot of these plants can adapt to harsh conditions, I'm sure you know. They can go down to like 10 degrees Fahrenheit at night and then over 110 in the daytime. So it's pretty extreme. We don't do those extreme temperatures. We don't let it go below 50 degrees.
Okay.
But it does get really hot in here. They have a different kind of photosynthesis process where they don't need as much water, like H2O, and they'll use more carbon.
So it's like more the CAM process.
The CAM, yeah.
So they'll be able to release oxygen a bit more towards the evening when they open up their pores of their leaves, and then and do more of the gas exchange.
Yeah, doing all that at night so they can open it up and it's not evaporating right off.
This is really like nicely curated. I also think
thank you.
and I also think that they're just really beautifully structural, you know, so.
Yeah.
Do you think your agave is going to be putting out a flower stalk anytime soon?
I hope not.
Yeah.
We had one over here that finished blooming last year, and it was bigger than this one, and it was going straight through the ceiling. We had to remove the glass and everything.
Yeah.
And then they die after they flower, so it was just so heavy.
So heavy, and then you could get pretty ripped up on them, too.
Yeah, and they're sharp, yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of different euphorbias in here.
Yeah, that's cool that you have some also like great like Madagascar plants and everything that's, you know, that you would typically see.
This is not a huge like succulent variety.
Yeah.
But we could do a little more. We have a few different Ripsalis up on the shelf here.
Nice.
I'm really into.
Is this the gold? Yeah, this is the golden barrel cactus. I've never seen one kind of growing together in like a pot like this. It's very cool.
It just started in there and no one ever took it out.
Yeah.
We like it like that.
It doesn't look like anybody will want to take that out anytime soon either.
We'll just leave it there.
And then this is another kind of crazy euphorbia. Look how they
Another euphorbia, yeah.
It's amazing to me because you'd maybe buy one in the store and it would like maybe look like this. But
yeah, just a section right here.
Right, and then you would never see this kind of woody stem, almost like a bark of a tree.
And it's like that on the apunchas, like this one back here. Like you'll see the prickly pears a lot of the time with the fruit and everything and like the beautiful green pads. But then at the bottom, it's like gnarly and barky. Not as pretty.
But I would imagine that it's a way to protect the plant to a certain extent as well too.
Oh, definitely. In the desert, there's a lot of predators trying to get at them.
Well, this is just a wonderful little tour. Thank you so much for taking us through like the history of this place.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And also just introducing this wonderful gem like in the middle of Baltimore, which, you know, I hope folks who are from here and also who are interested in traveling here will pay a visit, because this is just such a wonderful greenhouse and an old greenhouse. So to be like the last one standing in the area, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I actually forgot to mention, this is the second oldest one in the United States. A lot of them were built around the same time because it was so popular. And then I guess technically like the oldest one would be in Washington, D.C., the U.S. Botanic Garden, but their building is not that old. They just established themselves.
Got it.
Earlier on. So they had to tear it down and build a new one. So.
Well, thank you so much for the history lesson and for the wonderful tour. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
More videos are around the bend here on Plant One On Me. In the meantime, you could check out our online houseplant courses and materials like the 125 Houseplant Care Spreadsheet, Houseplant Basics, and the Houseplant Masterclass. All can be found on homesteadbrooklyn.com. And be sure to check out what we're growing on our sister channel over at Flock Finger Lakes. We'll see you in the next video.